Absolutely. Enforcement's bottom line. Somewhere in the back of every company's mind, they're thinking, do I have to do this? Is this something I really have to do, or is it just something that would be nice to do? And I think when it comes to environmental protection, you need to establish, this is really something you have to do. And then you can talk about a schedule and how much time you need and what it's going to cost and so on.
Yes. I'm beginning to see that a bit more with our companies, and I'm proud of that. But I know that my state is a little bit more resistant than some states, and we have a good share of different types of pollution in different parts of the state. So we've got a lot to do, but I'm hoping now that people see the value of this for everyone, because it really is showing up in illnesses. I had a very, very dear friend who never smoked but died of lung cancer from pollution. She was a neurologist, had 27 patents, just a brilliant young woman. And I just feel that we've got to carry on to make sure that we don't continue to lose lives because of this pollution. We have lots of ozone days in Dallas, and I'm hoping that we'll begin to address those. And I think to some degree we have.
You know, I mentioned we have an office in Texas. We love working in Texas. I'm really drawn to the state because on the one hand you have some tough politics, and that can be sometimes kind of an exciting challenge to figure out what to do with that. And you've got some very heavy industry. It's still a big manufacturing state. You've got some old power plants and refineries, but some great people. I mean, people who really care, who aren't afraid to speak up. And I mean activists in the community, but also some of the elected representatives. So that's the kind of thing that keeps me going. A lot to do, but you've got some really, really good people out there pushing in the right direction. And again, I thank you for what you've done.
Oh, sure. You know, I really do care about this planet, and I'd like to be known as someone who showed some caring long after I'm gone. Many problems will take years to solve, but as long as you see progress and the willingness to clean our air and clean our water, then I think that we're getting closer to the goal. And water is really an area that needs attention right now because we're so short of water, not just in this country, but all over the world. And we're trying now to use as much water as we can, so it has to be clean very well before we can recycle it for drinking water. And we are beginning to see mercury and different elements in the water. Even they've even tested some medication that is excreted, and so that's a risk that we need to give more attention as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you are chair of the Water Resources Subcommittee, and I know you're looking at these things, and we've got examples close to Washington where we have fish that have actually are of indeterminate sex now. It affects their ability to reproduce. People think that comes from the pharmaceuticals in the water. You've got the global warming legislation that's coming to the floor, I think, tomorrow here.
I think so.
And one of the big issues there is if the climate keeps heating up, if the globe keeps heating up, we're going to have serious water shortages.
Yes.
And what they predict for the western part of the U.S., and that would include a big part of Texas, is pretty serious drought. I mean, not just a one bad summer, but a series of really punishing droughts that would make it impossible to grow anything, and maybe even difficult to live in the area.
Yes.
So the stakes are very high.
That's true. As I have gone around the country looking at some of the changes that are brought to my attention, it does make me much more aware of what we're facing as a challenge. And so all the things that are presenting problems right now, we need to move past those so that we can be ready for what we know is coming.
Right. They talk about an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you can't just sit on these problems, you have to get ahead of the curve.
Yes. Well, you can probably tell by my voice that I've been near some pollution. I did go to France to look at the nuclear power plants and the reprocessing of the waste. And it was very windy and very dusty, and I got my share of it, and it's kind of staying with me for a while. But we see, as we move around, a great deal of effort going on around the world, and sometimes it appears to be more than what we're doing. But I have enough faith in people to know that we're really beginning to become serious about it. We have leading business people in Dallas that have taken upon themselves to work in that direction, and so that makes me feel very good, because the warmer it gets with global warming, the more incidences we're going to have. And when the water is really short with the droughts, then you got more particles in the air.
Right. It gets dustier and harder to breathe.
Yes. So, well, I really thank you for taking time to come, and I'm hoping that we'll begin to see some real changes. The Chesapeake is a treasure for this nation, and it is so polluted now that they really are not able to get much edible seafood from the Chesapeake. So I've called a special meeting with the states that are involved and having some of it to see what we can do to clean that up. All of our Great Lakes are polluted.
Well, I'm really glad you're doing that. You know, the oysters in the Chesapeake are gone. It used to be famous for its oysters.
Yes.
And just a few blocks from here, you used to be able to pick up a bushel of crabs off the waterfront for $30 a bushel. You can't get a dozen for $30 these days. So, and I like crabs. So.
Yeah, I do too. And since I've been here, I've seen a change in the availability of the crab.
I saw $75 for a dozen at one place. I said, hey, you know, that's crazy. But it's because the crabs are gone.
Yes.
And that's because of the pollution. So we are very glad you're looking into that.
Well, we hope to try to educate people so we can develop more people who are willing to speak out and to even help clean up our planet, because I hope it'll be here a long time.
It's the only one we've got.
That's right. So we're about out of time, but thank you very much for coming, and I would like you to call my office if you have suggestions. If it's some show that you want to see or hear about, let us know. You know that in Dallas I have a district office on Maple Avenue, and of course here on the Hill. The telephone numbers are very similar: 214-922-8885 or 202-225-8885. See you next week.
This has been another edition of Report from Washington featuring Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. You can reach Congresswoman Johnson at 202-225-8885 or 214-922-8885. You can also contact her through her website at http://www.house.gov/EB Johnson.